Welcome back, dear listeners, to Fright or Flight, the podcast where we rank, recap, and review every movie in a given horror franchise.
I'm Geraldine, or Jump Scare Jared, the Fright of the podcast.
And I'm Frankie, I'm the Flight of the podcast.
Today, we will be covering Saw 2 in the legendary Saw franchise.
Who would think that we would do Saw 2 after doing Saw 1?
I don't know, not me.
Surprise. And yeah, that's what we're covering this movie. When the original film came out, it made a bunch of money, $100 million against a $1 million budget. So Lionsgate was like, let's make another one right now.
Hells yeah.
And that's what they did. Now, Geraldine, you just watched the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What are your initial thoughts? What do you think?
My initial thoughts, going in blind, no, really, at least I thought I didn't have any previous knowledge of it. I liked it. It was fun.
You did enjoy it?
I did enjoy it.
Okay.
I think I enjoyed it a little more than the first one.
Ooh, tingling sensations. Now, a lot of people, Gerald, I don't know if you're aware, this movie made more money than the original film. While the original film made a bunch of money, this movie, first of all, the budget for this film was 4 times as much as $4 million instead of the $1 million. And that was worth it because it ended up making nearly $150 million at the box office. So that's another $50 million in your pocket right there.
That is absolutely crazy.
And because of that, a lot of people remember this movie and they think this is the original Saw. What they remember about Saw is the whole, like, there's a house, you know, like a trap house instead of a trap room.
We love a trap house.
And so I think it's super cool that, like, you know, you had mentioned to me before that you had remembered some of the parts from this.
I had remembered some of the traps, yes, but I didn't realize that it was from this one. I thought it was from a later film.
Yeah, okay.
So that was where my brain misremembered. But I did remember a lot of the first one because I feel like it's such an iconic beginning to the franchise.
I agree. Now, this time we don't get the same director and writer coming back, in a sense. It's super interesting how this movie was made. Like I told you, they released this movie immediately, like a year after Halloween, then the next Halloween. I don't know if anybody knows this, but typically films, I mean, usually you wrap on a film and the movie doesn't come out until 2 years later. With all the post-production, with the editing, with getting everything set, finding a release date or whatever. This movie, since it came out like 1 year later, the writer and director, Leigh Whannell and James Wan, weren't available to do it. They were still promoting the first movie, right? And they had already signed a deal with Universal to do another film. I forget the name of it. I think it's like Dead Silence or something like that.
That's such a good movie. I love that movie. I didn't know that. I forget that they did that.
Same team as Saw. But since they already signed that and since they were too busy to do another Saw movie that's expected to come out like soon, they ended up kind of jumbled up on like, what are we going to do? We need a new Saw film. We need to make a sequel for this. Well, luckily, this gentleman named Darren Lynn Bousman, he wrote a script, right, for his debut film, and he was passing it around to different studios, and the studios weren't taking it because they said it's too violent, it's too close to Saw. It's just like Saw. So Lionsgate got their hands on the script, and originally Darren was a little concerned because he thought everybody's saying it sounds like Saw, they're going to decline it, and they're going to like try to copyright me for it or something, like they're trying to get on my back. Well, after they read it, they liked the script, and they said, well, this is the solution to our problems. This is Saw 2. So so Saw 2 was adapted from a different movie entirely called The Desperate that Darren Lynn Bousman wrote.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then they sent it to Leigh Whannell, the original writer for the Saw movie, and then he adapted that story to fit into the Saw universe.
I like that. It's so fun.
It's really interesting, yeah.
Because, I mean, as the original creator of the story, he could very well have been like, no, this is way too close.
It is weird, you know, just in general how writers go about doing the things they do. Because a lot of the time we don't realize it, but Hollywood can be kind of a machine. Mm-hmm. And it's like or here's, like, I don't mean to break anybody's hearts or anything, but like songwriting, for example. I think a lot of people, and you know, I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter, but I feel a lot of people, when they think of their favorite artist writing their favorite songs, they think like, oh my gosh, they must have been in such a like emotional place, and in like creating this was like this special moment. But oftentimes, more often than not, it's like just racking your brain for what syllable fits or what word rhymes, or oftentimes the artist doesn't write the song that you love so much. Yeah. It's written by like a team of 5 or 7 people who are just trying to write a catchy song.
I do poetry, and even that, like, I hate making things rhyme. I think it takes away from like a lot of the meaning, at least to me, because I feel like that limits what I can say.
Sure, yeah, I could see that.
So I find it very limiting. But there are some people who have kind of done like wordplay around, and like, I mean, Eminem is a mastermind at it, believe it or not. Like, he makes things rhyme that shouldn't rhyme at all, and you're like, what? How did he do that? Crazy.
It makes a lot of sense to me that you like mentioned Eminem, because when I think of you, I often think about Eminem.
No, you don't.
I think of you guys. He could be your cousin. I would believe you.
No, he could not.
Just
because he's white.
Well, same backstory. You goes from like this like very run down area. You know, he comes from Detroit. You come from Greenbrier, sister cities.
They are not sister cities. Greenbrier is like country.
And then how you started, like, you know, trying to do this rap thing and back in high school.
I did not try to do this rap thing back in high school.
I feel like I remember you like expressing a lot of like hip hop kind of culture and influence back in the day.
No, not at all. I enjoy the music. I know that I'm far too white to do anything like that of the nature. So I'm nothing like Eminem. He's just trolling you guys. Don't believe him.
Detective Matthews is a cheater. He cheated on his wife just like he cheated at his job, planting evidence and doling out justice one fistful at a time. If it wasn't for his son to come up missing, what would think he hadn't a shred of human compassion for any soul? So here he is, face to face with his son's kidnapper, a decaying old man determined to teach Detective Matthews a lesson. This old man, Jigsaw, points Matthews and his SWAT team to a few dusty old monitors. Now, picture this. 8 felons, all unjustly put away by you, standing in an enclosed room with your son, Daniel. Matthews is pissed, and when in doubt resorts to what he knows best, old reliable, beating Jigsaw to an inch of his life. Meanwhile, back with Daniel and the 8 felons, we find ourselves in a house of horrors. There's a trap for each of our companions here, and the only way to escape is to play by the rules. Jigsaw's rules. Obi has to crawl himself into a small furnace, the flames obscuring the keys that would lead to his escape. Unable to bring himself to reach into the fire, he's cooked alive. In another room, Xavier is tasked with finding a key in a pit of syringes. Thousands of needles with only one hidden key in the hole in the floor. Xavier instead decides to throw a fellow contestant, Amanda Young, into the pit of needles to make her find the key for him. She's been in one of Jigsaw's traps before, but that doesn't make getting stuck by tip after tip while thrashing your arms about in search for the key any easier. She finally finds it, a second too late as the timer goes off. Xavier is getting antsy. He goes back to the first room and realizes there are numbers on the backs of their necks. All these numbers together decode the safe in the middle of the first room, and in return their salvation. But Xavier has lost all his patience. He's out for himself and himself alone. He jams a nail-covered bat into the back of another contestant's head just to read his number. Xavier goes back to view the numbers of all the other deceased contestants. That just leaves Daniel and Amanda. He chased them down all the way to the familiar bathroom with a dead body chained to one side of the wall and a severed foot chained to the other. Amanda asks him, "Even if you get our numbers, how will you know your own?" Xavier slowly brings his knife to the back of his head and starts slicing through his own skin, peeling off the flesh of his neck with his number on it. Daniel thinks on his feet and finds a rusty handsaw, quickly slicing Xavier's throat, saving him and Amanda from his rampage. Daniel's father is on his way. Jigsaw, after his beating, agreed to take Detective Matthews to his son. They arrive at the house. But back in the monitor room, the SWAT team doesn't see Matthews as he's going through the house the cameras are live streaming from. Another team triangulates the coordinates from the video feed signal, only to find the source is coming from a pre-recording. The feed isn't live, and Matthews is at a different house than where it is streaming from. As the detective makes it down to the bathroom Amanda and Daniel were held up in, he finds no one. Just a cold, dark bathroom. From out of nowhere, a pig-masked shadow jams a tranquilizer into Matthew's thigh. The detective wakes up later with his foot chained to the wall. The pig-masked figure reveals herself. It's Amanda. Amanda, who was tested by Jigsaw twice now. Amanda, who was put away by Detective Matthews. Amanda, who has become a disciple of Jigsaw, intent to finish his work after he passes. Daniel is safe, but his dad is the one who's locked away this time. Game over.
Please don't come after me, haters.
Now, talking about Eminem, I do want to talk to you guys about like the landscape of the time period like this movie came out, because this movie came out a year later, as I said, for the 15th time in 2005. And here's a few things that were going in 2005. George Bush is inaugurated for a second term.
Gross.
The terms glamping and sexting appeared for the first time in the English language.
Okay, I know what sexting is, but what is glamping?
Glamping is like when you want to go camping, but you don't want to deal with like the nature like super bad. So you're kind of glam it up. Like you have air conditioning.
That's me. I love it.
That's
Snaps.
glamping, yeah.
Yas, queen. Let's go
2005.
glamping.
Isn't that also crazy that sexting wasn't a thing until like 2005, or there wasn't a term for it until then?
I just can't imagine people successfully doing that back in the day in
With the
2005
phones?
with the flip phones.
Yeah.
It'd take forever for because if you've ever had a flip phone, they were like slow.
Have you? Did you ever?
Yes.
And just
That was my first like few phones.
It took
were
me a
flip
long
phones.
time to understand that there's like a lot of letters on one number. Like there's like 3 or 4 letters per number. And so when I first started, and I barely remember this, I was like a small child, and I remember like I would try to be like, okay, I press 2 twice, and then I press 1 once to get like each exact letter. But I don't know how your experience was, but you can actually just spell it out in just like, let's say there's a 4-letter word. If you type in the 4 letters on the 4 different numbers, the phone will kind of guess what word you're trying to.
Yeah, T9 word. It was great.
What is it?
T9 word. That was
T9 word?
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah.
Okay. That took me a while to figure out.
So T9 word never remembered like my name, so it would always, because of all the corresponding letters on the words, it would always change my name to lesbians.
Lesbians, okay. I like that. Lesbian Johnson. If I was a middle schooler, I would pick on you.
But in 2005, I mean, I was 6 turning 7, so I mean, I wasn't even, I was playing with Barbies. I was just chilling with my Barbies.
You didn't know what lesbians were.
I didn't know what any of that was.
Yeah.
I was just watching Disney Channel trying to figure out what 8/7 Central meant, you know?
What does that mean?
7 Central, 8 Eastern.
Oh, I get you. Hannah Montana, 8/7, yeah.
Halloween Town, you name it, all of the things.
Talking about movies that were released in 2005 include The Chronicles of Narnia
Hell yeah, that was a great movie.
and the first Madagascar film,
That movie's my jam.
and the King Kong movie starring Naomi Watts and Jack Black.
That was also a very good movie. I did enjoy that one.
As far as music goes, Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson and Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani.
Nice.
We're topping the
What a
charts.
good year.
Yeah, so it was a very, I think the most prominent kind of like musical thing in this movie is very like just grunge, like rock music.
Yeah, I mean, I was, whenever, occasionally I would pause the scenes just to make sure I was keeping up with who was playing who, because I like to know the ensemble that we are dealing with a lot of the time. Even if they're smaller roles, it's just, I try my best to keep everyone in mind. I'm like, okay, I see this person. Who are they playing? What is their name? Just in case they become important later, because I don't know. I've never seen this franchise, so I don't know what to expect. But it also is good for me to do that because we did have a repeating character in the movie, so that was good. But I saw that they were playing Marilyn Manson at one point.
Yeah.
They played Queens of the Stone Age. I think it was their rendition of, it was the Burn the Witch, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
Lots of different songs, but like very grungy, like you said, like grungy, like metal,
Certain
rock
kind of era.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still get that green hue in this movie, which I love.
Yeah, a lot of something I will say about the Saw films is they have such a distinct imagery and like color palette. I feel like you can cut to like 2 frames of a Saw film and be like, oh yeah, that's Saw.
It was very, very good.
Something about this film I thought was very interesting is that it was very The director, so the first one, obviously, huge twist, right? For this second one, they wanted to keep the same theme going up. So to avoid the secret getting out, for one, they only let most of the cast and crew see the first 88 pages of the script. So most of the people that worked on the film didn't even know the ending. And the people that did, like the main cast and the main crew members, they shot 5 different endings. In case any of them, in case the original idea leaked, they were ready to like do another ending instead. So it will still give audiences their surprise.
I love that so much.
Isn't that so cool?
That is cool. Because they're like, we are not having this get spoiled.
Exactly.
And I mean, truthfully, the ending was not expecting it. It was very fun.
It was, yeah. I mean, when I first saw this movie, I was losing my shit. I was like, oh my God. My mind was blown, if I'm being honest.
I did predict one thing a little bit sooner, though. And I was like, oh, nice. This is fun.
You're a predictor in movies.
Well, yeah, I'm always trying to guess. And like I said, these are kind of whodunits, but in a different way. Like, not really a whodunit, because we know who done it. We know who brought them there, essentially. It's more like a why. Why done it?
Yeah. I love something that makes your brain think a little bit.
It's like, why are they there? What? And then, I mean, early, Jigsaw sets the precedent that like they all have a common story. They have a common reason for being there. And so very intriguing. I'm like, why are they all there? What thing do they have in common? Do these very different people all have in common?
Were you asking yourself that while you were watching the film?
Yeah, I was trying to guess as I was going along, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, I know that Amanda was a former addict, so I know that about her. And then I didn't know anything about anybody else other than the cop's son. I knew that he was into thievery.
Yes. Now, talking about you brought up Amanda and also the cop's son Daniel, the cast of this film, we kind of, I feel like we upgraded a little bit. I feel like the first film, the level of acting wasn't amazing, but I think a lot of the charm came from the concept. This movie, there's still some funny dialogue and some not best lines, but I do think the level of acting is bumped up a little bit.
Oh yeah, the stakes were higher.
Sure. We get a bunch of people in a house instead of 2 people in a room this time.
I liked it because you have very different personalities, and you kind of get, I mean, everyone's survival instincts kind of kick in, and they're like, what do we do? And there's one strong personality who kind of goes by the beat of his own drum, Xavier, and then you have a couple of other people who kind of click together, ally together, like Amanda and Daniel, and Laura, but then I feel like Jonas tries, but
yeah, I feel bad for Jonas. I feel like Jonas was really
the short end of the stick.
Yeah, he does. The Nelly short end of the stick, yeah. Returning cast, Tobin Bell as Jigsaw.
Yeah.
I think I told you last time that the gentleman who did the razor wire trap was initially asked to play the role of Jigsaw, and he turned it down because it wasn't big enough of a role,
Yeah, I'm sure he's regretting it now.
Probably. And
because Tobin Bell is still doing them all.
Yeah, he's still around. And Tobin Bell, he agreed to come back. There was nothing in the contract that said he would have to. When they filmed the original film, it was just they intended it to just be a one-time thing. They didn't think a sequel would be made or anything. So when they asked Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith, who plays Amanda, to come back, they were both surprised that they didn't expect Saw to pop off as much as it did.
It's such a fun ride. It really, really is.
It is. And Shawnee Smith, for example, she was an unknown actor before Saw, and then after it, for this movie, she was paid $150,000 to reprise her role as Amanda, with another $100,000 if the movie made more than $50 million at the box office.
Look at her go.
Which it did. So her salary was at least $250,000, which is $250,000.
Listen, the amount of things that I could do with $250,000 right now in my life, it's needed. So congrats to you, Shawnee Smith.
Yeah,
you're living the American dream.
Yeah,
especially in 2005.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what I'd do. I'd probably buy a jet ski.
I'd pay off all my debts.
I think jet skis were really big in 2005.
Oh yeah, people like MTV Cribs, stuff like that was big.
I'd have to be on MTV Cribs. Talking about MTV, for example, Donnie Wahlberg is in this film. I didn't realize until somebody else pointed it out to me that Wahlberg, he is Mark Wahlberg's brother. And then when I looked into who Donnie Wahlberg was, I was like founding member of New Kids on the Block. I was like, I didn't know any of this, but you can kind of see it in his face that he looks like his brother.
The Wahlburgers and everything like that.
How do you know about that?
Do you not?
I had never heard about that.
They have like a restaurant. I think it's.
What do they sell?
Burgers. Wahlburgers. Their name is Wahlberg. Yeah. So it's called Wahlburgers.
I like it.
Yeah.
In Boston.
Yeah, I don't know if they're ever there. Question mark. Just
Probably
being the
not,
owners,
right?
Probably not. I would imagine to be like Gordon Ramsay being at every restaurant he's ever opened. But that's really cool. I mean, I enjoy the Wahlberg brothers a lot. I think they're good actors. Mark Wahlberg is a fantastic actor.
You're a Wahlberg fan.
I am a Wahlberg fan.
I don't like Mark Wahlberg.
Why?
I don't know. He just gives me like masculine man vibes.
He does. And lately he's been in more like Christian leaning films, which is kind of like, oh. But
something about him in the Transformers movies. I've never seen one entire one with him in it. But for some reason, I'm just like, I don't know. Like there's something going on with him.
I mean, I like him more in comedies because he's got a very dry humor. So it's really funny.
I like his accent. Like he has a very Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah, he does. It's fun. But like I loved him in the movie The Other Guys. It was fantastic. I think he was in another really funny movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I can't remember what it was.
I'm not sure. I know he's in a movie with Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
where he
The
plays.
Other Guys.
No, another one where they're like dads or stepdads or something.
Daddy's Home. Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Very awkward.
Very funny movie.
Now, I will say there's another actor that we've actually covered on this podcast before.
Yes.
And Daniel, Eric Knudsen? I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yes, Eric Knudsen. He was in one of the Scream movies.
He was in Scream 4. He played Robbie, who said the gays don't die, but when he expressed that he is of homosexuality, he was still killed by a
I mean, if he was just saying that to get out of dying, we don't know. We don't know his story.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah,
but because we're about to enter Scream 7, and
Robbie turns the corner. He's right there.
Jasmine Savoy Brown playing Mindy, still kicking.
Maybe he was lying, trying to get away.
Or maybe it's equal playing field.
Maybe
we're in 2023.
Maybe he discriminates. Maybe he doesn't. But he is also in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which I found out was interesting. He plays I forget who he plays, but he's in that other band that is like, I'm sad. I'm so very, very sad.
So sad.
Yep.
Thank you. This next one's called We Hate You, Please Die.
Exactly. Yep, that one. So I thought it was really cool. I think he and Amanda too in this movie, they kind of dress her up as a very like emo alternative, goth centered kind of character.
I love it.
Which I love too. I love her hair. I think a lot of people would criticize her hair.
It looks kind of like may I speak to the manager hair, but I mean I also like it on her. It's not like if it had like the frosted tips or like the really bright blonde highlights, that would definitely be can I speak to your manager? Like Karen
it was definitely of the times. And also something about Daniel, his eyes just look so like he hasn't slept in 3 days. And that was like the style. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For a while in middle school, I was like straightening my hair up front, and then I was spiking it in the back. I would put gel in it to spike it backwards. I was doing that for a while,
Interesting.
As far as the rest of the cast, we have Frankie G as Xavier. I thought Xavier was very intimidating.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Very big guy.
Yeah. He kind of turns into the antagonist for a good bit of the film, I feel like.
Yeah, but I really think I don't know. I feel like it probably would just be like everyone's different reactions to the poisonous gas entering their system. I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people just like experience symptoms differently. So I think that could be one way.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being in this house with you, for example. I feel like you'd be inconsolable.
That's rude, first of all.
Is
and
it?
Quite an assumption.
You don't think that's accurate?
I've played escape games. I'd be searching. I'd be helping.
I just feel like if it was a matter of life or death, you'd be freaking out. I mean, you freak out when you can't find something in your apartment. So I feel like you're in a death trap. You're like...
Maybe I'd be so calm that you wouldn't even know what to do with me. You'd be like, wow, you're like extremely calm. And I'd be like, yeah, it's whatever. We're all dying.
Oh wow, I really don't see that happening, but anything is possible. I think something else that's super cool is the set production is like, I mean, this house looks so run down.
It looks amazing.
And it's like they're there. Like I would, not buy this house if it was on Zillow. I wouldn't look through it. I do love Zillow though. I love looking through Zillow on my downtime. I go through my neighborhood, see what's on for sale. Can't afford any of it.
Nope, never.
But it is fun to dream. I grew up watching HGTV.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it a lot.
I used to love Extreme Home Makeover. I'd cry every episode.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I've seen that show where like this. I don't know why this made me think of it, but the show that's like, oh, our mom is gonna switch with your mom.
Yes.
I don't know what that's called. Wife swap.
Wife swap.
Is that what it is?
I love that show.
Do you think it was real?
No, it's reality TV. How much?
You think it was scripted?
It's got to be.
Oh.
I mean, but that one lady, iconic. The
lady?
super Christian lady who entered like a house that was like witchy. She was like, "This is dark sided." She was like, "You need Jesus," and it's just really funny. She's iconic. So.
That's awesome.
And it's not even because of that. It's just the way she's become a meme because of it. So.
I'll have to check the video. I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's hilarious.
Okay.
Hilarious.
All right, so I want to talk to you about a few things in the movie. The movie opens up first of all with a trap.
Yeah. I wrote that down because I was like, spiky face trap, but before knowing what it was kind of called.
I like referring it to the Venus flytrap. I think in the script it's called
Death Mask as well.
The Death Mask. I don't like that title as much, especially since Jigsaw over the tape calls it like, think of it of a Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap is very scary. I don't like anything with eyes.
I don't really either, especially before I wore contacts. My friends scared me like the day before I went to go see the eye doctor to put contacts in. They were like, "Oh my God, what if you break your pupil?" And I was like, "What?
Break your pupil?
You can do that?" Yes. Apparently, broken pupils are a thing, and it's terrifying because it literally looks like your eye is leaking black. It's weird. I don't know if it's a real thing, but if I was young and I believed it and I was really scared, I was like,
that does sound scary.
And the doctor was like, "I don't know why your friends would do that to you the day before you had to come put contacts in, but I promise you it's not going to happen." And I was like, "Okay."
Well, you have some awful friends.
Sometimes.
But I'm sure you've been an awful friend before too.
Yes, 1000%. We all have.
It's all an even playing field.
I mean, if you're not picking on your friends, do you really even love them,
That sounds toxic.
You pick on me all the time.
I've never picked on you a day in my life.
Okay, there should be a compilation video of how many times he calls me like a country bumpkin and makes fun of me.
You could be a proud country bumpkin.
I'm not.
It's just part of your culture. It's okay. Now, I will say about the Venus flytrap, I am very happy that he did not really try that hard because I didn't have to see it.
That's fair. I don't think I could have done it either.
You don't think so?
No!
I could have done it easily.
I mean, I inflict pain on myself a lot because I do this like horrible thing with dermatillomania where I like scratch my skin, pick at my skin a lot. So I don't really, it's hurtful, but I also, it's not like that bad, I guess. So I feel like inflicting pain on myself is not that big of a deal, but the idea of like, I'm a hemophobe, so I can't do blood.
You know what? I changed my mind. I can't do it. I can barely, back in middle school, I could barely put eyeliner without like twitching or like, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Eyeliner is hard. It is hard.
I always like, what's it called? When not twitching, but like when you like.
Shake?
It's like you're a little scared, like hesitation.
Tremble?
No. It's like, when someone tries to flinch. I flinch whenever I try to put eyeliner on, so I wouldn't be able to, take a scalpel to my eye.
Absolutely not.
It's just your brain kind of protects itself. So, like, your brain doesn't let you do some things to yourself, I feel like. Or maybe I'm just weak.
I don't know. I feel like I would have to, like, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I would also give up. I'd be like, sorry, just go ahead and go ahead and kill me.
Yeah.
The idea of cutting your own eye out just to get the key
sounds awful.
Sounds
I
terrible.
can't do it. Like we said earlier, Jigsaw returns in this film. Last movie we didn't really get to see a lot of Jigsaw. We did.
He was just on the floor and
he
we
was
didn't
just on
know
the ground. Yeah. This one, he's like, we see him throughout the whole film.
Love him.
You do now?
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
I think
Why do you like him?
He's a fantastic villain. I mean, his reasoning is madness. his reasoning for like killing people. Like I literally wrote it down. Those who don't appreciate life don't deserve life. That's such a bold statement.
Yeah.
Because like, think about how many people like we all take our lives for granted.
I don't think you can.
We all take so many things for granted. Like how could you appreciate every single moment of your life unless you are like facing death?
However, yes, I gotta say, like the moral questions that he implies onto Detective Matthews does get me thinking.
Yeah.
Like something about like if you knew like the exact date you will die, you do appreciate every sip of water. You know what I mean? Because
like, very deep, very thoughtful, but at the same time, do you gotta go through all of this just to like
no.
And especially this one in particular, this like the group of people that he has like put together, it feels a little excessive with this one. The previous one at least makes, I guess, not even some form of sense, but like I don't know. I mean,
I kind of feel like if it was up to Jigsaw, it would be like everybody gets one of these traps. Like not just like evil people, but just like, because I mean, like you said, like none of us fully appreciate life most of the time.
No, I mean we all take everything for granted.
Yes. Opposing him, we have Detective Matthews, and he's very like he has cheated on his wife.
Yeah, with his work partner, which is Detective Allison Carey, played by Dina Meyer, which I have seen her in several things before.
I think, so wasn't she in Starship Troopers?
I believe so.
And I know she was in a TV show, and it was canceled for Batman called The Birds of Prey. I think it only lasted like half a season or something.
Oh, interesting.
She has a very interesting face.
She's very pretty.
She kind of looks like Michelle Pfeiffer to me.
She does. She does very much so.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer also has a very like alluring, like beautiful face. It's like stunning. It's like it's so strange.
I've never seen Baywatch before.
Yeah.
But this actress looks like she could be on Baywatch. Something about her face.
I can see that.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, Detective Matthews isn't the best guy. He treats his son kind of angrily. He's like, "Go ahead, get out of here." You know, whenever his son is
like, "Get the fuck out of here," basically.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That's
Are you
good
from
accent.
Boston?
No, I'm not, but I feel like I could be, you know?
Okay, I like it. Yeah. You watched enough Mark Wahlberg films.
Probably, yeah. That, and I did go to Boston recently and in Salem. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's like you're home away from home.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice.
Now, his son, Daniel, he is just, like a regular kid, in my opinion. Like, he's got a little rebellious, kind of looking for some attention.
I don't know how old he is.
I am awful at being able to tell kids' ages.
I'm assuming anywhere between 16 and 24.
Oh, wow. I was thinking more like 14 to 16.
I feel like he's got to be at least 16. I don't know.
He looks like a child to me. But like I said, I'm awful at being able to tell things or whatever. But yeah, Jigsaw puts Detective Matthew on. The whole premise of the film is that Jigsaw has captured a lot of these people who Detective Matthews, it turns out, has all put away.
Wrongfully as well.
Yes. I mean, that's a big thing, especially now. I feel like people often talk about like shady cops.
I mean, it's very, very prevalent with the themes of like 2020 to now that we're still really highlighting.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't talked about as much. So I feel like for the time, it still holds up.
It still holds up. Yeah, that's still something that resonates with us now. Mm-hmm. And I think I've heard some people make the argument like, oh, well, he was still busting people doing crimes. He just needed, and that's why he started planting things because they were doing the crimes anyway. So I'm going to, plant this so they go to jail.
No, I'm sorry. That does not count.
Yeah, morality doesn't work like that. Like
yeah.
That's not how it works, buddy. And Jigsaw knows this. Jigsaw knows this about Detective Matthews, and that's why he put his son in the same house as all the people that he wrongfully arrested.
Which is sis. Oh my God. Like when I found out, like they're all there for a reason. We don't know what the reason is. And then like we started getting a little bit into it, and they all keep mentioning like, oh yeah, I did time. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Because then my brain was like, they were all arrested by his daddy. No. And like, so before they even announced it, I had picked it up. I picked up what they were putting down, and then I was like, oh no. And then to find out, like them finding out that he's the cop's son. Oh my God. But of course he is privileged being the cop's son. He doesn't really go to jail or juvie or anything.
Yeah, he always get like taken out by his dad. You know, his dad protects him, which is a big part of that unfairness because everybody like he's planting stuff on other people. Meanwhile, his son gets a skip jail free card whenever he wants.
Literally, yeah.
Big thing about this movie, like you mentioned earlier, is we have some returning people like Amanda, and Amanda has already been in a trap, and she's showing up here now.
And she was not, like less than happy. She was like scrying. Wow, screaming, crying, no, and like fuck and all kinds of things. Like just not excited to be there, which I wouldn't be either.
No,
especially waking up in a room full of people that I don't know. I'd be like, what is happening?
One of them gets disposed of rather quickly.
Yeah.
With like, and this is, I mean, the movie, like I said, it starts off with the trap. I think it really throws you into the fray immediately.
Yes, it does.
The first person to die amongst this group of people inside the house, however, is Gus. He listens to the tape that tells him not to try to open the door with the key that is given. And he tries it anyway, looks at the people, and as he turns the key, it activates a switch in the other side of the door that pulls the trigger on a gun that's right against the peephole and blows his brains out.
I saw that coming. So.
You did?
Not the gun per se, but I knew something was going to happen. And I was like, watch there be something right there. Or be a bomb.
I love that cinematography, how like it pans from him opening to like the gun being cocked and triggered.
Yeah.
I think that was it just looks great.
Very fun. A lot of fun like cinematography choices in this film, but such a bold group of people that we have. We have Emmanuel Vogier, I guess is how you say it, playing Addison Corday, Shawnee Smith playing Amanda Young, Eric Knudsen playing Daniel Matthews, the cop's son, Glenn Plummer playing Jonas Singer. I think he was probably my favorite out of all of the people.
You like
Glenn? Jonas, yeah.
Jonas.
I liked Jonas a lot. He just seemed like he was kind of like a stand-up guy. He was really looking out for people, like, hey, don't be like me. I used to be like you.
Yeah. Or even when he was pleading with Xavier about like, hey, if I don't make it out of this, like my family's in trouble. It's not just me.
Yeah.
Because he was like, there's people looking for me, and if they don't find me, they're going to go after my family.
And the thought of that is like sad.
Yeah. And I mean,
because,
he was
like,
really trying to...
I imagine like women and children like waiting at home kind of thing, and then them being roped into something that has nothing to do with that person or anything. It's just sad to me because that stuff does happen.
It does, yeah.
And like unjustified crime and stuff like that, but you don't really hear about it a lot, unfortunately, and then stuff like that. Like it's just a big nuanced thing that's is still so prevalent today because of like things that we see in media with like cops like sweeping shit under the rug or doing shady shit. Hate it.
Yeah, the cast is very like diverse, like
very
a bunch
diverse.
of people from like all these things that I think you and me can both agree like sometimes good people do bad things.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do find yourself caught up in a situation.
Sometimes it's situational. Sometimes it is merely like you got to do what you got to do to survive. And that's just like the hand that you're dealt, which is, you know, unfortunate. But, you know, no shame to anybody because like sometimes that's just the way that it has to be because this world is not easy to live in.
Right. Abby, another one of the characters played by Timothy Bird. Not one of the people that fall into this category.
No.
Because he helped Jigsaw get and kidnap all of these people.
Yeah, I felt bad about his death, but also didn't.
Why did you feel bad?
Because he was being burned alive. He was suffering.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess you can.
And like the hearing the cries and screams and stuff, I can only imagine. Like I'd be freaking out.
Yeah. He gets stuffed into a furnace. I feel like I could have survived this one. I couldn't survive the first one, but this one he just had to like turn around while he was in a burning furnace and like turn a valve. And the whole thing, I guess, is like, oh, there's where the fire is. So if you go over there, you're gonna get burned. But I'm like,
I would much rather burn all my skin off and turn that stupid thing and get out.
Yeah, me too. But some of these people, I don't know. It's just like I think that's the crux of most of this. It's like you're too like same thing with the eye thing. You're just too scared to do the eye thing.
Yeah.
So you end up dying. But wouldn't it be better to just live without the eye? Yeah.
Yeah. 1000%. But I mean, it's easier said than done, I guess. We've not been in those situations.
You know, you mentioned, I don't know if, did you mention Beverly Mitchell?
I did not.
Laura?
I love Beverly Mitchell. She's done a lot of things.
Her character.
It's annoying.
You don't like her?
No, not really.
How come?
I don't know. She just cry.
You didn't like the vibe. Fair enough, because she didn't do anything.
She cries the whole time, and then at some point the poison stuff really gets to her, and then she like starts just laying around, not doing anything, and then she just like seizes out. Like,
that's it. She's gone.
That's it. That's all she did.
Yeah.
She didn't contribute anything.
She went silently into the dark.
I know that's really insensitive, but it's also a movie, so like it's not real.
Yeah, it's not real.
But at the same time, like if this is an escape room and everyone else is like contributing, trying to find things, all she did was push on one door the whole that was that one time. She's like, I found a door.
Yeah. Xavier, I gotta say, like, as much as like he became an antagonist later on in the film, he was really like pushing for like, let's figure this stuff out. Like let's get this door open. Let's
they only had 2 hours.
2 hours.
That's not a long time.
Not a long time. So he was really moving, at least. I feel like sometimes they were like, just kind of hanging around, playing it cool and mysterious. And I'm like, guys, we got to do this. We got to figure something out.
It was stressing me out because I was like, guys, I would be breaking down every door.
Yes.
Like you have this big bat, like break down the doors.
So we get in this trap house, and they all have all sorts of traps that we'll talk a little bit more later.
There's a lot of good ones, yeah.
But I gotta say, like, I want to talk about the main thing about this movie.
Okay.
And that is the twist. It is just so insane to me.
It was very insane, but
did you see any of it coming, for example?
I kind of had like a guesstimate.
Okay, so you were theory crafting in your head about what was going on.
I was theory crafting in my head. I'll write down my notes as I was like getting to this point. So at this point I was like, okay, it brought them to the previous trap. This was with Amanda and Daniel when they go in there because they're hiding from Xavier. And then I was like, oh shit, like the cops are in the wrong house. And then I was like, oh my God, because I repeated what they said in the movie. They've been dead the whole time because they find out the live feed was not live. And I was like, oh my God.
That blew my mind
right?
completely. Or just in general, that like Eric Matthews, he was told that like all you have to do is sit here and talk to me and you will see your son again.
Like if he really had just like kept his composure and just trusted
sat there, just followed the rules like Jigsaw kept on telling him.
Man.
And also like just that restatement of him being like, your son is in a safe place.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God. What really killed me about the twist more than anything was when I first watched it was just that the whole camera delay thing, that it's not a live feed.
Yes, it's because you watching it there, you think that it is.
It's all happening at the same time. They're cutting back and forth. Mm-hmm. So you think it's all live or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. But then I knew something was up because Detective Allison, kept saying, Sarge, I don't see you.
Yeah.
Sarge, I don't see you.
Did you already figure it out when that was going on?
I was like, I didn't figure that part out with the feed not being live, but I was like, they're at the wrong place.
Oh, okay.
Because that's happened in movies. It's not like that's not super original like concept. But
right.
But I was like, okay, so then here you go. Like then this is at the point they find out Daniel is alive the whole time and it's like in a safe in the building. I said Eric gets stabbed by the piggy mask person. I said pretty sure that's Amanda at this point. She's got to be in on it, right? ? And then when I figured it out, I said I'm damn good. Because I do remember playing Dead by Daylight and having that character in there, and I remember someone referring to that character as she, and I was like, she. But I remember in the first movie, it was John Kramer. So I had like some sort of disconnect there, but I was like, wait, what? But I don't know. I just kind of was like guesstimating the whole time, and then when I figured it out that I was right, I was like, oh, fuck,
good job.
Shit. I was proud of myself.
I bet, yeah. I think that's a reaction this movie gets a lot of, just being like, oh my God, and like just.
But it was fun because once you did find out, like, oh yeah, like she was like not in on it in like the sense that like she was actually gonna die or anything. Like she's in on it because like she's taking over, she's infiltrating, like. Mind blowing.
Who would have thought? Yeah, exactly. It does give you like that serotonin, the dopamine, like you just figured out a puzzle.
And then it ends the same way.
Yeah, the game
legendary.
over. Yeah. And
like, oh my
you know,
God.
like she has a personal vendetta in that like she was also arrested by Eric Matthews.
Yeah. And she was not doing anything at that point.
Yeah.
It's sad that that's a reality. I said if only he had fucking listened.
Yeah.
And then I said, what an epic ending, Killer Queen.
Yeah, and that's how it did. Yeah, and just him like obviously never having the patience and like beating Jigsaw up until like an inch of his life.
Like come on, dude, he's got cancer. Like
And he's old.
He literally said, you can't do anything that is more painful to me already, basically something along those lines. And I'm like, exactly.
Yeah, but he just doesn't have the patience. Unlike me, I have all the patience in the world. Like
I'd be anxious, but I would be like, okay, I trust that you are actually going to stick to your word. But then all those other people died, and it's unfortunate.
Now I want to talk about that because there are traps inside this big trap of the house or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing about it though is like they're scattered throughout the house, and Jigsaw is a very like he plans everything, right?
Methodical.
But things don't always go the way he plans on it going. And I think that happens a lot through this movie where like people come across traps, they don't read it all the way, or a big pivotal point of the film is when Xavier comes across his trap.
Yeah.
And he listens to it. He is a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And so he has to search through like a needle in a haystack, a key to open a door that has an antidote behind it.
And the fact that he himself does not do it.
He doesn't do it. He picks Amanda up and throws her into this pit of needles. How crazy is that?
It's crazy.
I was like losing my mind. I was like, no.
So what's funny is I had watched a behind the scenes thing about this scene in particular, but way before, like months before we were even like.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. And like the fact, like it took a lot of like needles. They literally had people come in and like take the needle. Like they had people who were taking like the real needles out.
Yeah,
like,
that was a whole job. Yeah, like a whole
I could
crew
do
to
that
do
all
that.
day.
I don't think I could. Like people say that, but it's like meticulous little things. The muscles in your fingers would start hurting, you know. But you're right. They initially got 20,000, barely covered the bottom. Right.
That's crazy because there's it's the amount that they already had in there. I feel like they could have even put more in there.
Right. Well, they ended up using 120,000, and even once they got to the 120,000, they needed to stuff the very bottom of it with other stuff because it was just not enough. But in general, just visually seeing somebody down there and like Amanda got like a bunch of needles sticking out of her, and I don't know if you know this, Sherilyn, but I'm scared of needles. Like
I too am scared of needles.
I have passed out while getting my blood drawn.
I thought I would, but I disassociated. So I could feel myself watching myself. I felt out of my body.
Right.
Definitely should tell my therapist about that, but
Why?
I haven't. Because it's important that I felt out of my body. I was like, this is too traumatic for me. I'm not gonna be in my body right now.
Are you sure you didn't pass out?
Yeah, I didn't pass out. I was
Okay,
awake.
I passed out.
But later I had Mexican food right after,
Was it
and
good?
it was amazing.
I think I might have had Mexican food after too.
But I was like eating, and I was like, I don't really feel very well, but I'm still going to eat, and I'm still going to be here.
It's probably that third margarita that you had. It was
I didn't
a
have
little too
any
much.
margaritas.
I passed out when getting my blood drawn, just at a regular checkup, and so they put the needle in. They were just drawing some blood to run some tests or whatever, and then like I feel like I blink, and like when I open my eyes up, the nurse was right in front of me holding like 2 sticks up to my nose. And I'm just like, you know, like gasping and breathing in. And I'm looking around. I'm looking at my arm. I'm like, are we done? Like how long? How much more do we have left? And they were like, oh no, you're done. You've been done for like 10 minutes. And I just did not know. And they were telling me like it was like 4 nurses there, and they were like, yeah, we had to like hold you up because like you were trying to like fall off the chair or whatever. And I was like, oh wow. Bailey had to walk me out, and thank God she drove me there because I mean I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Oh yeah, I had somebody else take me to mine as well because I didn't know. It was my first real time getting my blood drawn.
Now,
so I was like,
because you're scared of blood.
I'm scared of blood and I'm scared of needles.
Okay, I'm scared of needles. It took me a long time to figure that out because I didn't know which one I was, and I'm pretty sure it's the needle part.
I'm both because like also you're taking something of mine out of my body.
Yeah, that is
Put it
freaky,
back.
huh? Could you imagine right now being stuck with a needle?
No.
Isn't it awful?
Yeah. You know what's funny is every time that you say something like that to somebody about like, oh, being scared of needles or something like that, and for those of us who have tattoos and they're like, but you have tattoos. I'm sorry, it is fucking different.
Now, I think that I would have a trouble getting a tattoo for the same reason.
It's really not like that. It's
First
not
of
like
all, I'm a baby.
It's not long, like not like a long needle. They're like teeny tiny, so you really don't see it. And
Does it hurt though?
Yeah, it hurts. I mean, but it's not like ridiculous. It feels more like an itch that you can't scratch.
Which is the most painful place you've gotten tattooed?
My thigh was pretty bad. But
Really?
Yeah, my thigh was pretty bad, but I want to say I felt like I gave birth to my rib tattoo.
I feel like that would hurt the most.
I got my sternum done, and that was actually my first one, and it wasn't that bad at all.
You're insane. I just
My
figure the ones that are
shoulder?
like bony, I feel like that would hurt the most. Bone.
I don't know.
Because I've always wanted like a wrist tattoo, but I hear
they say it's the fattier
Really?
areas. I don't know though. I could be wrong, but I know that my shoulder, it was easy.
Okay.
It was like super easy. I was just kind of chilling, watching TV while I was getting done.
Now, talking about tattoos, this film, I'm not quite sure. I don't think they're tattoos, but at the very beginning of the movie, when all these people are found themselves inside this awful house, they're told that there's a safe in the middle of the room.
Yep.
And all of them know the combination. It's on the back of their minds. Now, I feel like me personally, I'm a smart guy. I got all A's in school, straight A student. I would have figured this out immediately. That the numbers are on the back of our necks.
I wouldn't have, because
Surely,
I
right?
forgot about that fucking part immediately. I was like, why is he doing that? Because something about like I knew that there was a mention of a rainbow, and I was like, I don't see how this correlates to the rainbow.
Well, it does. So my bigger thing is just that Xavier's the one that figures that out.
Yeah.
And then he just walks to every person and looks at the back of their neck, and he doesn't write it down. I would have forgotten it. He just like walks away, looks at another number, walks away. I would have forgotten. Oh, what did Gus have on the back of his head? Was it a 14?
I don't remember. No.
Was it a 6? And then if it was a 6, was it a 6 or was it a 9? You know what I mean? So like I would have forgotten what the numbers are. And as far as the over the rainbow part goes, it's like they're all the numbers are written in a different color on the back of their neck. So it's like Roy G. Biv, whichever one comes in order. That's the combination.
I just couldn't remember what that meant in context. I was like, what? Like it had already gone over my head. See,
Yeah.
This is why escape games you need different minds, because not everyone's minds work the same way.
Yeah, we all think differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for these fellas, none of them it didn't work out. Not a good group. Not a lot of chemistry. Not a lot of
No, not at all.
awful teammates, which happens in life. Sometimes you start a new job and everybody's just awful. You know what I mean?
I know what that's like. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I want to talk to you, Geraldine, now about all the traps. I feel like we've talked about most of them now.
We have.
We've talked about the furnace. We've talked about the Venus flytrap.
We talked about the pit of needles.
The needle pit. One of them that we did not talk about.
This was another one that I knew about prior, and I was like, oh, I didn't know it was in this one. I thought this was in a later film.
Was the razor box.
I called it the hand box trap because I didn't know what it was called.
Yeah,
but the razor box sounds way cooler, so we're gonna go with razor box.
Okay, I like razor box. And this is another one where like the character that comes in here, Addison. A lot of people make fun of Addison because they say like, what was she thinking? Like she just stuck her hand somewhere, stuck her other hand somewhere, and that's it. Like, come on, Dumbo.
I mean,
I have a little more empathy for her. I mean, she was towards the end of the whole thing. Like she was full of that nervous agent that was running through her veins or whatever.
She was coughing blood from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, immediately she was like the first person we saw cough blood.
Right. So naturally, my brain thinks that this is already like in her system.
Yeah.
She's not fully herself.
She doesn't even read any of the stuff. She doesn't play any tapes. I think there's like a letter, or was it a letter or a tape recorder in the middle of the room that she kind of just shoves aside?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah. So I don't think this trap was meant for her. I don't think this was her trap. I think this was actually Amanda's trap that she was supposed to have. Because it was just seen earlier in a movie during a flashback that she had been cutting herself, and that's why she's back into the thing. And the razor box has razors in it that slice through your wrists. So I think this trap was meant for her. But very menacing in that she's just kind of stuck there now. And then when Xavier stops by, he just closes the room.
Yeah, he just looks at her neck for the number and just it's like.
Yeah. It's just also painful to see her, like she grabs a syringe and when she pulls it up, all of the antidote spills out into the box.
Big sad. I was like, no. Feel really bad about the Venus flytrap situation because could have been avoided, but also like, and his reasoning was just because he was an informant that was involved with Eric.
Yeah.
Feels kind of like shady, I guess, but also informants.
Yeah, but you're kind of like snitching on like other people to the police. You know what I mean?
Like that's lame.
Yeah, they have that phrase about getting stitches.
Snitches get stitches. That's true.
You think so?
Yeah.
Would you? I feel like you were the kind of kid that would be like, teacher, what about homework?
I did do that, and that's the reason you said that.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
My whole family used to call me a narc because
You were a narc. You're such a narc, bro. Why are you such a narc?
I did it one time, and I learned my fucking lesson after. I never did it again.
Yeah, but it lives inside you. It's still a part of you. I can tell.
No, it's not. I don't snitch on people because you know what?
But you are a rule follower.
I am a rule follower, but if if somebody is choosing to not follow the rules, that's on them.
You just give them a side eye.
I don't do anything. I'm like, they don't get I don't get paid enough. They don't get paid enough. Fuck it.
Okay.
Fuck the system. Go for it.
Yeah. Rage against the machine.
So, I apologize to the person that I snitched on in fourth grade.
Fourth grade Geraldine. I can only imagine. Probably wearing the same glasses.
No, they were like really thin. Like, it was bad.
You know, now while we're on the topic, this is so unrelated to the podcast.
Oh my God. Okay.
I just want to talk about you and your school experience. Now, I figure while you were going to school, you were like the cool kid, like the one
you're
like people wanted to be friends with you.
You were fishing and you're lying and you know it.
I've never gone fishing a day in my life. I don't know how to. I don't even have a reel. But is this accurate? Would you say?
No, I was a nerd.
You were a nerd?
Yes, I was a nerd. I was a loudmouth nerd who was in all of the artsy kind of stuff.
Right. So I guess some things never change.
I was in theater. I was in choir. I was in like art club and stuff and student council.
You were in student council? Why?
I wanted to be I wanted to be the class president.
You are such a narc, dude. Look at you.
I just wanted to make change.
Okay. Would you want to give ice cream every day to the fourth graders? Is that the change you wanted to see in the world?
No.
Wanted to end racism in the fourth grade? What are you doing?
Pop Tropica for everybody.
Yeah, I miss Pop Tropica.
I do too. It was a great time.
Yeah.
I don't know. My kid brain was like, this isn't bad. My friend told me she didn't do her homework, and I was like, what?
Gerald, did she confide something in you?
She did, because you... Listen, I regret it every day. It haunts me.
Every day?
Yes.
Just wake up in the middle of the night in a cold
I
sweat.
think about stuff like this all the time. I never let it go because I'm like, I can't believe I did that. That's so embarrassing. If I could go back in time and change it, I would, but I can't.
But if you did, it would have been some other thing. You know what I mean?
No, it wouldn't have.
It would have come up somewhere or another.
I learned my lesson that day, right then and there, to never do that again, and I never did. So there's that.
Yeah. Could you imagine waking up tomorrow and like you're tied up and you hear a tape and it's like, Geraldine, you've been stitching on fourth graders all your life. Today you will pay the price.
You told the teacher she didn't do her homework. Now you need to do your homework or something like.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So going over all the traps, I want to cover 4 main ones. Is the one we're going to be deciding for this film which one we like the best.
Okay.
And that's the Venus flytrap.
Yep.
The furnace.
Okay.
The needle pit. And the razor box. Those are the 4 we're going to decide on. I don't think we have much of a conversation to have here, if I'm being honest. I think I have one winner specifically in mind. That I'm sure you have the same one.
I could go ahead and eliminate the furnace. I know that for sure. That one's not very memorable to me. It was really quick and painless. It was not. But
It didn't look like it.
No, it wasn't quick and painless. But it just felt boring.
Okay.
The razor box is super cool. However, it wasn't as like gruesome, I guess, as I wanted it to be. It was gruesome for sure, but like I would have lost my hand. I would have been like, no, I'm losing my hand right now.
So you just like cut your hand off, basically?
Yeah, I would have done that. But again, Addison had a lot of the gas stuff in her, so who knows? But I It was very cool. It was very cool, and it was very memorable for me for a very long time because I didn't know that it was from this movie in particular. I thought it was in a later film in the franchise. So that leads me to believe that I don't know anything about the rest of the movies. So that's exciting. But I think the needle pit.
It has to be the needle pit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just so visceral. Like, I think it's not super complicated, but
also,
you can imagine it.
But also, like, the fact that it was meant for Xavier as a drug dealer, and he threw the only former drug addict in there.
Oh no! And
Like,
it's just, I think Shawnee Smith did such a great job of like being terrorized. Like she was scared as soon as like he turned towards her. She was like, no.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it's hard to watch.
It's very hard to watch.
Yeah, it's not super gory, but something about like just being jabbed.
But like needles, man.
They're needles, and in my head, they're always like used needles.
Yeah.
So that's even worse. It's like I would have passed out in the pit.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Just nope, can't do that. And to like poke through them like.
And eventually she just starts like shoving them, like throwing them off.
It was
and then
so
when
bad.
she does find it, he flubs the bag and then
he shits the bed there and he doesn't get to the door in time.
no, it closed. So what was that for? And then he gets angry at her. He gets angry at her for not doing it in time.
He's like, "You fucking bitch!" I'm like, "Whoa, you did this, sir. This was meant for you."
Yeah.
And he was like pushing her for time. You don't have time. I'm sorry. What? You're throwing the only like former drug addict in there?
This, yeah. What an awful human being.
Yes.
Yeah.
So his death was sweet.
Yeah. So it was super interesting too, just him in general. Like he's the one that figured it all out, and that whole scene where like, but if you find all, how are you gonna know your number?
Oh my God, that was so funny because he's like, I can't, like, he's not gonna rely on anybody else. He has to do it himself. So then he just cuts his own neck meat.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, originally after he cuts that flap of skin off the back of his head, he was just supposed to look at it and drop it, but he improvised putting it into his pocket.
That's gross. It was gross.
It
as
is
hell.
gross.
I was like, ugh.
Yeah, no fun.
Yeah, that was yucky, ucky. But yeah, I would have to say the needle pit was pretty epic. I've not seen anything like that in a movie before.
Me neither. And I agree with you. So now we have to rank it. Do we think it's better or worse than the reverse bear trap? It's interesting because these are both Amanda.
You're both Amanda, and it's on a purpose, I swear. I'm going to say it's better.
Me too. It's just scarier.
It's scary.
The first one, it's like, it's the appeal to me from the reverse bear trap is just the ingenuity. In general, just the concept. I know what a bear trap is.
Yeah.
That makes simple sense to me. But one that works the other way around sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Sounds terrifying. But in that one, like I said to you last week, it's like, you don't have to do anything. There's no sacrifice. You know, you have to hurt somebody else, which is still awful.
Yeah.
But it's a lot harder when you have to do it to yourself.
But this one is just, you have to put yourself through physical pain the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you have to crawl out of it. And then she's got needles all over her.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're going to put
the needle pit.
The needle pit first, and then second place, the reverse bear trap.
Yeah.
And now we get to rank the movies. Saw 2, here, I'll go first. Saw 2, I think, is like a great sequel in a lot of ways. I think you can see the extra money, the bigger budget. You can see the connections to the original film, like in Billy, in expanding Jigsaw's story, seeing his origin. I think we all had an interest in that from seeing the first movie, like how'd this guy come to be what he is, and also making that callback all the way at the end of the movie, where like you see the lights start lighting up at the end of the movie from the bathroom. And then you get to see the dead bodies of everybody from the first movie. You get to see the amputated leg that's still left over.
And they're like blue and gray and decrepit and decomposing. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and just like all that, I feel like it's a phenomenal sequel.
Yeah.
And I think I personally enjoy this film just about the same as the first one. It's really hard for me to pick because I feel like this one has a lot more going on. I think the twist is crazier even. But for whatever reason, I can't explain it. Something about the charm of like Adam and Dr. Gordon, I enjoy a lot.
Okay.
So it's personally hard for me to pick.
Okay. So then out of 10, what would you rank this one?
Because I like this so much, like very nearly to the first one, I give it the same ranking. I also give it a 9. I think it's a phenomenal sequel.
Okay. I I'm right there with you. This movie is really, really good. It brought a lot to the table. Like, I mean, they have a bigger budget. They have a lot of different, like, well-known actors here. They brought back some iconic characters from the first one, so they're already establishing a story there. So I love continuity. I love that. That makes me very happy with storytelling.
You love continuity.
I love continuity. They even have like some of the same like props. Like they brought back Billy the Puppet. They brought back the pig mask. So many things. And then they even brought us back to the first location of the first film. That's so good. I love continuity. So to me, this is stellar work. It's really, really good. And then all of the different stories that we get, all of the different traps, they just took it up a level. And I'm excited to see what the rest of the franchise brings, truthfully. Like, it's just fun. And the fact that I've never seen these until now is just mind-boggling. Like, wow.
It's amazing. I'm so happy that we get to watch these for the
And
first
now
time.
I have such a deeper I don't think I would have appreciated it. I'm not going to lie, back then. But now, watching this with the mind that I have today, I love it.
That's
I think
to
it's
hear.
the perfect timing for me to watch it. So to me, I'm going to give it a 10.
Woo, 10. It's just this movie's so much fun. Like
It
you
is
said,
a lot
it's
of fun.
satisfying to like figure out the puzzle and to like get the clues and like work your mind. And the intensity is just, like you said, ranked up a notch.
And the twists, very fun. Even though I did like kind of like I was on the right track and like kind of on the guest dimension. What am I saying? Words? Like guessing train there. I was like on the right track and stuff, and like even made some of the guesses beforehand. It's when it confirmed it, I was still shocked. So it wasn't like a disappointing like guess that I got right. Like with Scream 5, their execution was disappointing to me, because I could tell they weren't trying to hide it very well, and I was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, you really did not like the ending of Scream 5.
No, I didn't. But Scream 6 was great because I did not expect that. So, like when they can do it well, and it's like they'll throw you for a loop, but then they kind of take you back and they make you question, like, maybe not. Maybe it's not that obvious. And then they hit you with something different. And then the big reveal when that happens, and then you're still shocked. That's a good storytelling component. So I enjoy it a lot.
That's awesome. So that puts this movie, Saw 2, as our new number 1.
New number 1.
And the original Saw is our number 2. Which is amazing. We'll see how we keep going. I'm so excited that you mentioned that, like, oh, this is the one where you remember. Meaning that, who knows, maybe the next one you don't remember as much as this one.
I really don't think I know anything about the other ones, because these were the traps that I remembered. Was the razor box and the pit of needles.
All right.
So
That makes
that's
me
it.
so excited to watch the next one.
Yeah, I have no idea what the next ones will hold, because I have no idea. Just none.
Yeah.
None.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us for the second episode of our 4th season.
4th season.
We can't believe we're at 4 seasons. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. We started this in January. Can you believe that?
Yeah, and it's like more than half of the year's over now.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
And we're having to fast track this because, Lionsgate pulled a big one on us.
Yeah, they really, we anticipated to have this lined up with the release of the newest film.
Yep.
But they were like, you know what? We'll release it a month early, which I'm sure everybody's happy about. But I'm over here like...
For scheduling,
yeah, it really wrecked us.
we're like, oh, no.
But, we do what we do. Thank everybody for listening. Follow us at Fright Fly Pod on all the social medias. Give us a follow on Spotify. Rank us, rate us 5 stars on iTunes if you guys don't mind. Leave a review if you'd like.
Leave reviews on our YouTube videos. Like, comment, subscribe, all of those
I don't
things.
know. We never talk about that.
We
We
never.
do. We also release this as a video podcast.
We do.
If
So you
anybody
can see
wants
our
to see
beautiful
us.
faces and watch our funny facial expressions. And we also sometimes put fun things in the videos, like pictures or things like that.
Yeah.
We work hard on graphics together, so that's always
right.
really fun.
So yeah, you can catch us on video. Same thing on YouTube. It's just Fright or Flight podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, so fun.
yeah.
We would love to see everyone there. And yeah, we have big plans for this season. So
Yes.
I'm excited to delve into it because for once, I'm not sitting in like the expert seat.
Yeah. I'm super excited. I mean, this is like an interest of mine. So
Yeah.
it's super cool that, I'm having a lot of fun this season, I guess is what I'll say.
It's really fun to watch these things with somebody who doesn't particularly enjoy them, for one. So to like see like how you came from not watching these movies in general
Yeah.
to seeing us now, where you're like, oh yeah, I have kind of watched them.
Yeah, I'm having a blast, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. Yeah. Super fun
So-
time. Like when you're super glad to like rewatch a movie or have a movie marathon of your favorite movies.
Oh my god, yeah, it's
Yeah.
the best.
So fun.
The best.
But yeah, thank you guys for checking us out. We'll catch you guys next week with the next episode, Saw 3, and we'll see you then.
See you then.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Fright or Flight, a Live Oaks Village production. This episode was hosted by Geraldine Johnson and Saul Alberto Arzmendi Ochoa. Editing and music composition by Saul Alberto Arzmendi Ochoa.